I think one of the coolest passages in all the Bible is the one that talks about God's Father. Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion, and the fit for this video is Bizarro Superman. And if you look up Deuteronomy 32:8 and 9 in the King James Version, it will say that the Most High divided up the nations according to the number of the sons of Israel. But scholars now know, based on the ancient Greek translation of this passage, as well as on a fragment from the Dead Sea Scrolls, that it originally said that Elyon, the Most High, divided up the nations according to the number of the Bnei Elohim, the children of God. And then verse 9 says, and Adonai's portion was his people. Jacob was his share of the inheritance. And so this text describes Elyon, the Most High, giving Adonai, the nation of Israel, as their inheritance. This likely distinguishes Elyon, the Most High, from Adonai, and identifies Adonai as one of the Bnei Elohim, one of the children of God. And this would fit with the broader Northwest Semitic pantheon that put the storm deity on the second tier of the pantheon among the Bnei Elohim, and Adonai is repeatedly in the Hebrew Bible represented as a storm deity. In fact, there are passages where Adonai is taking over poetry originally dedicated to Baal. For instance, in Psalm 29, we have this sevenfold praise of the voice of Adonai. But all the places it mentions, like Lebanon and Sirion and Kadesh, are places further north, the territory of the Northwest Semitic storm deity Baal, not of Adonai. And so this was likely poetry originally praising Baal that was then appropriated by Israelite scholars wanting to praise Adonai based on the same terms. Similarly, Isaiah 27:1 talks about, in that day Adonai will punish Leviathan, the wriggling serpent, the twisting serpent, the dragon that lives in the sea. And portions of this are word for word quoting a much earlier Ugaritic text that praises Baal as the one who defeated Leton, the wriggling serpent, the twisting serpent, the dragon with 7 heads. And so once again, a story involving the Northwest Semitic storm deity Baal is appropriated by Adonai, the God of Israel. So Adonai was likely a secondary addition to the pantheon. The original patron deity of Israel would be El, the Northwest Semitic high deity. And Deuteronomy 32:8 and 9 likely originally maintained the distinction of the two. And it's worked into a very old piece of poetry in Deuteronomy 32, the Song of Moses. But it seems to be even older than that poetry, because it is introduced in verses 6 and 7 by saying, ask your fathers and they will tell you, your elders and they will say, and then we have verses 8 and 9. So this is likely even older traditions that distinguished Adonai from Elyon, who is presented in Deuteronomy 32:8 as the father of the God of Israel.
So 3 additional things I want to bring to bear with what my man Dan here was saying. And yeah, I got a new hat that we picked up in somewhere in the middle of Phoenix, El Paso, somewhere around there. I don't even remember where we was at, in the middle of nowhere, outside of Phoenix. But 3 things I want to bring to the table, as well as what Dan so greatly put out there. And that's the fact of number one, and the third one is a doozy, but number one. And number one is the fact that the God of Israel had a daddy, and that daddy then later on was meshed together with the idea of the one God, that the original Israelites were polytheistic and believed that their God had a father, and it was their father. El was their father, and their mom, because I know people are going to ask, well, who was the mother? Is Asherah. This is why Hezekiah and then later Josiah and Ezra tried to get rid of Asherah and make her just into a wooden pole. But as I've said in many other videos, when you go and see some of the ancient sites in Israel, you will see that the northern Israelites especially represented El and Asherah with 2 different worship stands, worship podiums for each one. Asherah's podium was always a little bit smaller because, you know, male domination. But so that's number one. They had a mama and he had a daddy, but then they merged Yahweh and Elyon, and as well as some of the things of Baal, as Dan put in. Number 2, the second thing, is that this God, and I know the Hebrew Israelites are going to love this part This God is just for the people of that tribe. This was not a God that was worldwide. This was not a God that had messages for people or desire for people to be a part of him. This God just had his own select group of people. This is not the God of Christendom, the God of Abraham, of the Islamics, of Muhammad. This is not a God for the Asians. This is not a God for the people in the Americas. No, this was one God for one small group of people, and it still is. Just because they've trained you to think that this God is for everyone does not make it real. It is only for the Israelites, and I'm not an Israelite. So that's another reason why this God is not for me, because I'm not one of his people, and I never will be. And all you Israelites who are going to come on here, I'm not. I'm not. I know where my family comes from, and they were not Israelites. Number 3, and this is the doozy one that I wanted to stay with. Now, you've heard many of my videos, you've heard me say this type of thing before. But this is a clear demonstration of how the Israelite people copy from everybody else. Now, he only spoke about the northern Ugaritic people. But when we go back to the origin and we look at the Sumerian and Akkadian story, what does the Sumerian story tell us and the Akkadian story tell us? It tells us, according to them, back then, 6,000, 5,000, 6,000 years ago, it says that Anu, who was the God, the father God, and his wife was Namu, that Anu was tired of all his children, Enlil, Enki, Ninharsag, Dumuzi, well, I think he got killed, but got tired of all the infighting that the gods were having over the people. And so there came a point where Anu said, split it all up. I'm going to split this all up. And every one of you will get your own people. This is when Marduk got Egypt and changed his name to Ra. Enki was allowed to just go all over the place, so that's why he became Quetzalcoatl, Thoth, Hermes, Mercury. He became multiple names because he was able to go around. Enlil got the Israelites. Those were Enlil's people. The Israelites are the children of Enlil. This is why Enlil gets mad at them when he's walking through the cool of the day in the garden. But Enlil gets the Israelite people. This is why he chooses Abraham, because Abraham worshipped Enlil. He was a worshiper of Enlil. And then through Abraham's line, didn't matter how jacked up the line was, but through Abraham's line, he continued to be a part of them. This is why he loses the battle against Shamash. He loses because he's losing that battle. This is why the battle of Sodom and, not battle of Sodom, the Tower of Babel and Sodom and Gomorrah were battle sites, and the Tower of Babel was destroyed because of Marduk and Enlil's fighting. And so Anu was like, I'm just going to split you guys up because you destroyed Babel, the Tower of Babel, you destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. The evil winds floated down and destroyed 7 other cities. All this fighting is too much, so I'm going to split it up. Elnana got the Indus Valley area. So they split up the world amongst the Anunnaki according to the Sumerian Akkadian story. This is not me saying that this is what I believe, for those who cannot separate me telling you what something is saying compared to what I actually follow. But this just demonstrates that the Israelite people nitpicked and chose and cherry-picked parts of other people's writings and made it their own and made it their own propaganda, and then of course uplifted themselves to be above the other group. So it was a great video by Dan. Glad he brought it out. Hope the additional information inspires you. But y'all have a great day, and remember always, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. We headed to Sin City, Las Vegas, out of LA.